For the first time since May 18th, 1988, Game 1 of the Cup Final is in Edmonton. Will the Oil rekindle some of that 80s magic from 37 years ago? We'll find out as we get you set for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Oilers and the Panthers right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Tom Guzzola live on location at the Canadian Ice House at Ice District. It's buzzing in here. People are excited. People are nervous. People are pumped up. It's been an interesting time in and around the arena, and we are just over an hour away from puck drop of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. Hernan Salas with you as well, and we'll hear from Matt Cassian today, a very businesslike Game 1 pregame show as we get you set for tonight's action, as it is a rematch from last year's Stanley Cup Final. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. Be good to each other out there. I know it's been getting a little hectic in the nasty chat from what I've been hearing. Please be good to each other. Have respect for one another. And let's have fun as we get set for another Cup Final. All right, let's bring in the Latino Heat as we start this thing off. Nancito, you had EST afternoons earlier today. I ran into a bunch of nasties. I got my buddy Jared from Modern Measure here. Got him set up with a big cold beer. I got VR Montenegro, Grumpy Cat, and Savage set up with a couple of beverages and some shots as well as they get ready to calm the nerves. How are you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, cool as a, what's the saying, cucumber?
Cucumber?
Yeah, it's Game 1, looking to see, it's going to be a fantastic game. These teams are the best, It's not an 8 seed getting, finding that run in them, that Cinderella run, being in the finals. These are the top two teams. Saw them last year. They match up so well against each other. There's really no weaknesses, Tom. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But, pumped for the game, though. Can't wait till 6:20. Probably go for a walk as soon as we're off air for about 15 minutes, clear the head, and then get ready to watch this game and break it all down after, Tom. But excited. I mean, you feel the buzz in the city, man.
Yeah.
Like I stepped out for a bit during Reed's show, and everybody's in their Oilers shirt, jerseys, whatever, and then there's cars with the flags. Everybody's honking. It's just such a beautiful vibe when you're in the finals. So, let's go, Tom. It's going to be, we know it's going to be a tough series, but it's going to be a fun one, and we are the lucky ones that get to tee it up and then break it down later tonight.
Yes, indeed. We'll have Reed Wilkins on the postgame show with Matt Cassian as well. Do I even ask you if when you go for this walk, you have a dart ready to go, or are you going to be okay? Like, I think you just teed me up for that one. And I'm like, started smiling. I'm like, okay.
It's before the game. It's just... like, I'm at the age, Tom, it's going to sound weird, where I just want to watch the game. You know what I mean? Like, and everything that comes with it after, I can find on YouTube, Twitter, but I just want to get to the game. So that's why I go, just to kind of get the mind off it for a bit and just enjoy some nice weather that we're having.
Yes.
Luckily, there's no wind today. Well, not as bad as it's been. So
right.
It's just something to clear the head and then go walk in here and they're ready to go. So let's go.
All right, you text us your thoughts going into this. How are you coping with the nerves? Are you nervous? Do you feel confident? We want to hear from you, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Nancito, before Cass hops on in about 10 minutes, we have obviously the lineups to get to, a few things to discuss, but as always, it is our tradition. It goes back many, many years and seasons on this show, whether it was on this station or our old station. We want the question of the night from you, sir.
Yeah, so I said it off the hop. These teams are it's so evenly matched, Tom. I think most people can agree with that. Like, there's really no weaknesses. So I want to hear from the Nasties on the Nasty chat or on the inbox. That's 780-218-9999. Where do the Oilers have the advantage on the Florida Panthers? Now, you can get really specific. You can say bottom six. You can even compare the players. You can say goaltending, special teams, 5-on-5, whatever you want. Coaching, home ice, anything. Hey. Where do the Oilers have the advantage over the Florida Panthers? In what specific area do they have it?
The coaching thing is interesting because think it was on the Hangout. I chimed in for a few minutes, and I heard the boys talking about the coaching, and I think, was it Belsey gave the edge to Edmonton coaching-wise?
Yeah. I think Maddie did too.
Maddie did too. Well, where do you stand on that? Because I know Chris Knobloch has pushed the right buttons. Him and his assistants have done a great job. I mean, you could also point to the PK, and it's at 66%, 14th best in these playoffs this year. So that hasn't really improved all that much. But I was a bit surprised. I mean, this is a Florida Panthers coaching squad that has gone to the Cup final 3 years in a row now, has won one. And I was like, oh, that's a spicy meatball, fellas, on that one. What'd you think of that?
It's a good question, and it's kind of hard to go against a veteran coach like Maurice. Like Tom, we were talking about, he was 30 when he coached the Hartford Whalers back in the day. Like,
yes,
this guy's been around. He's seen it all. It doesn't mean that just because Knobloch's only been in 2 years in the NHL, he's been coaching for a long time though as well, right? But there's something to be said for Knobloch, because in the playoffs, he's always knocked it out of the park with his decisions. He has, and for the first time this regular season, he was kind of missing on some of the decisions. We were kind of questioning it, but in the playoffs, he's been spot on once again. I'll go with Maurice just because he has won. I think you have to give the edge to him. He knows what it takes. He's been there, done that. He's been in every situation. And again, I think it's close, but I still have to go with Paul Maurice.
I kind of am with, not that I'm kind of with you. I am with you. Like, I respect both of these coaches. Chris Knobloch's coaching record in the playoffs is phenomenal in general. I mean, I know the memes have been popping up there. People are like, oh, this guy has only coached a year and a half, and he's 27-14 in the postseason. He's had a great run in the regular season since taking over in November of 2023. It's an immaculate, almost pretty immaculate coaching record. But yeah, Paul Maurice, the track record's there. The cup win last year is there. So I would think naturally most people would give the slight edge to Paul Maurice. But Edmonton's coaching staff, no slouches either. Edmonton, I'll just throw a couple stats at you guys, and then I want to get to a text that kind of ties into the opening there. Edmonton 6-1 at home in the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs. The Panthers 9-2 on the road so far these playoffs. And, of course, Edmonton 3-4 all-time versus Florida in the playoffs. We'll see how the Oilers handle the Panthers. Also say this, because like going back to the games in the regular season, it was a 6-5 win December 16th here at Edmonton. We talked a lot about how Florida outmuscled Edmonton. They were in their face. They forechecked hard, and the Oilers just got physically beat basically all over there, especially in the D zone in that game. Then it was a 4-3 Florida win February 27th in Sunrise. Team a little bit different. There had been some changes to the group. Roster was a bit different. Again, another close result. Now we've got Evander Kane, who's playing and healthy. We've got Trent Frederick, who we're witnessing kind of find his groove with the team. Doesn't play a ton. Third line, fourth line guy, but bigger body, not afraid to muck it up. Yes, they have lost Zach Hyman. That is a huge loss. Have to acknowledge that. But then now you have Connor Brown coming back. We'll see how he's doing. Game time decision officially, but we know he's playing. So it's a bit of a different team. So I don't know, like how much we can tap into what happened in the two regular season meetings between these two teams. I don't really think we can very much. The Oilers have proven that in other playoff series in the last 2 years. I think we're in for two different looking teams, geared, primed, and ready for a run at the Stanley Cup. And I think we're just going to see an absolute, I'm calling it a slobber knocker, blow for blow, punch for punch, tete-a-tete, if you will, as Joaquin Gage likes to say. So that part of it is interesting. And then the other thing I wanted to say, and this text came in from Mike outside of Edmonton, says, first time since 1988 that Wayne has been in the building for game one. Hashtag Omen, hashtag Destiny. I know Wayne Gretzky just posted on his socials him kind of standing beside the Stanley Cup on the TNT set. Had a good chance to see Wayne, say hi to him yesterday. He has a name for me, Nanso, and it's a funny one. I will not repeat it on this fine station and fine program, but him and his son will become very good friends. So I was hanging out with Ty and got to see Wayne. Maybe it is a good omen, I mean, first game one of a Stanley Cup final in Edmonton since May 18th, 1988. That year, the Oilers won their 4th Stanley Cup. That was Wayne Gretzky's final season as an Oiler. They didn't lose once in the playoffs at Northlands. They went 16-2. Are the stars aligned, or are we reading too much into that? Are we too emotional about it? You tell us. 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat. Nancito, I don't remember the 88 Cup final, personally, because I was 2 years old. Yeah, but I did, and I went back and I watched this yesterday. There's this video, the documentary that they make of Stanley Cup championship teams, and that year it was called A Time to Remember, Road to the 1988 Stanley Cup Finals, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it, and I was like, I quickly scrolled through it and scrubbed through it, and I was like, oh yeah, man, this was the sweet stuff. I had the VHS, I would watch it, and I'm like, maybe, I don't remember watching it last year, maybe the stars will align for our city. What do you think?
Yeah, I think at this point, we're looking at everything this happened and they touched the conference. You know what I mean? And it's fine. I think everybody does it and looks for that kind of connection. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, Wayne, he's here, TNT, it's great. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of former Oilers in town.
There are.
Especially as we get closer to the closeout game, regardless of who's winning or not. But it's going to be crazy, Tom. The Stanley Cup Finals. I kind of liked yesterday media day. It reminded me of the NFL Super Bowl media day. I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job. You see all the pictures of all the different media around town and the big wigs, the big names that you see on your sets, your TV sets every Saturday.
I saw them a bunch yesterday too. Yeah, it's
kind of cool. It's kind of crazy, but it's like I said, it's beautiful, man. It's back-to-back years in the Stanley Cup Final for the Oilers. Last year I was more on the fan side. Now I'm kind of working pre and post and covering the team. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But I'm with you. I think we're all looking to something to grab onto and say, oh, this is the year, and it all starts tonight at 6:20, and I can't wait. It's going to be unreal to see again. I know it's easier said than done, but no matter what happens tonight, we got to be reasonable, rational. It's only one game. We've seen the Oilers, no matter what happens.
Hang on. I feel like reasonable and rational has been thrown out the window for some.
Yeah.
Not all, but like people that I think and I know and love and respect very well and very much, who I think are reasonable, rational, calm, cool, and collected, are just like, I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. I'm pacing of this. I'm like, hang on a second. You're the one that's supposed to provide the calm demeanor.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
it is weird.
As we gotten closer, because we had it seemed like a lot of days off in between. But it's like you can't help it. But it might not be the fan butterflies, but just in terms of the game and covering it, you get that sense too, right? Like holy crap, we're here, man. We're a couple weeks away from knowing who's going to win this damn thing, and it all starts tonight. So it's going to be interesting. I'll be honest, Tom, man, the buzz in the crowd tonight, that first hit's going to probably blow the roof off Rogers Place. It's just going to be amazing to watch.
Yes, it will be. Okay, let's get to a couple of texts. Cass is standing by. We'll get to a couple of texts really quickly. I'll rattle off the starting lineups, and then Cass will join us for Game Changers as we get you set for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. City Dave says the Oilers have the advantage in every area except the third line, which is why they win the series in 5 games. City Dave now going by Downtown Dave. We'll give that one to you, Downtown Dave. Collingwood Rob says, hey, Hernan and TG, no nerves, just excited to see some great hockey. Now my hands will probably be sweating if this goes to overtime. I need Janmark to score tonight. Oilers to win in 6. Oilers to win the cup. Any of those are a big payout for me. Go Oilers, go. And then Conroe, Texas, who's been riding Jobu this entire postseason, has Jobu and the Shrine, and then a couple of vintage Oilers T-shirts, a vintage Oilers jersey that looks like mid to late 80s, maybe early 90s, and then same thing with the sweatshirt, some hats, and then he has the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show on the big screen above the Jobu Shrine. Conroe, Texas, fantastic work. Love the photos. Appreciate it. As always. Okay, let's get into starting lineups, and then we'll bring in Cass. Starting lineups are brought to you by our good friends over at South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team in the Fort, and they'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details, www.southfortchev.com. shop.southportchef.com. For the Oilers, here's what we're anticipating. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Perry. Draisaitl with Kane and Kapanen. Henrique between Frederick and Brown. Janmark with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. I know officially game time decision for Connor Brown, but we anticipate. And I think he even mentioned he's going to be playing tonight, so that's a good sign there. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard. Nurse with Kulak. Wallman with John Klingberg. For the Florida Panthers, what we're expecting is Barkov between Evan Rodriguez and Sam Reinhart. Sam Bennett with Carter Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk. Anton Lundell between Eetu Luostarinen and Brad Marchand. That line has wreaked havoc on the opposition this postseason. Fourth line, Tomas Nosek with Jesper Boqvist and Jonah Gadjevich. On defense, Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad, and then Nico Mikkola with Seth Jones. Nate Schmidt with Dmitry Kulikov, the former Oiler. No Nico Sturm, no Jacob Magna for the Florida Panthers. Your starting goalies, 26-year-old Stu Skinner, 6-4 this postseason, 253 goals against average, 904 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 10 games in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs, 3-4 record with a 233 goals against average, 909 save percentage, in 7 playoff games versus the Panthers in his career. And at the other end of the rink, the Panthers will be rolling with 36-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 12-5 this playoffs. 211 GA, 912 save percentage, 3 shutouts as well for Bobrovsky in 17 games in 2025. And then, of course, 4-3 record versus Edmonton in his career in the postseason. 267 GA, 899 save percentage, 1 shutout in those 7 games. Real quick now, the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, we had a chance to hear from him earlier today, had the big cast on his arm. Dislocated wrist officially is what they were calling it. Had a complicated surgery, expects to be back for next season. Those were his words, not mine. Alec Regula, knee injury all year long, even though they gave him a new contract. As for the Panthers, Adrian Greer is out with a lower body issue. So there you go. That's your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Oh, by the way, the Oilers re-signed Roby Yarventi, which is a pleasant surprise. You'll recall he was traded for Xavier Bourgault last off-season. Let's welcome in Matt Cassian, our game analyst, ready to go for game number 1 between the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Hello, Cass. How are we doing today, buddy?
I'm good, ready to go, excited, gentlemen. The Stanley Cup Finals are here. I'm a little sad that at the most we'll be doing this only 7 more times this hockey season at the most. But fellas, most exciting time of the year, not just playoffs, but the Stanley Cup Final with the Edmonton Oilers. Pretty fun.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you know what, Cass? We've only done like 100 of these this year, so I think it's okay. We need a break, too, at some point. Whether it's in 4 or in 7 games, we'll take it when it comes. That's just how we roll. All right, let's dive into Game Changers with our analyst, Matt Cassian, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He's community-driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out. DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Numero uno tonight, Senor Cassian. Evade and transition.
Yeah, evade and transition. The Florida Panthers, we all know that they are going to try to pressure the crap out of the Edmonton Oilers defense. They are going to try to not just physically dominate, but force all kinds of turnovers, make life uncomfortable, take away time and space, and really try to just get underneath the skin of the Edmonton Oilers defense. In particular, they're going to be physically trying to test Mattias Ekholm to see if he is healthy, and they're going to try to really pressure and push Evan Bouchard, who's been very, very good this playoffs. And for the Edmonton Oilers defense, being able to evade, to spin off that pressure, to make good plays under pressure and transition that puck back the other direction is going to be absolutely key. Like this Florida team, they do play a high tempo, aggressive style, and we've seen teams really struggle against it. You know, the Carolina Hurricanes really struggled against it, and they have some good defensemen, but they still at times, or for a good portion of that series, really had a difficult time dealing with the pressure of the Florida Panthers. So, it's a big task for Ekholm, for Bouchard, for Nurse, for Kulak, for Klingberg, and for Wallman, but they have to find a way to respond to it. And I really do think that is such a huge key for this series, is the Edmonton Oilers defenseman ability to make plays under that pressure, to transition the puck to the forwards so that they can go on offense. Because I think realistically, Edmonton's got a little bit more offensive punch. And if you can just get the puck to the hands of your forwards in a manner that's efficient without big turnovers, going to go a really, really long way to giving you the best opportunity to win a Stanley Cup here against the Florida Panthers.
And so,
yeah, no, it's a good point. And if you look at the Oilers' 6 defensemen, I think we were discussing earlier, I think one of the strong suit of that core now is they can all move the puck, right, and get him out of trouble, avoid that forecheck like Cass is alluding to. So I think compared to last year, there's maybe a few guys on the Oilers that, their strong suit wasn't moving the puck. But you look at it now, they can all make that first pass. They can all make that stretch pass. They can make solid plays. So it's going to be important for them to make the good and the smart play, and sometimes the safe play, guys. Right? Like at times this decor gets in trouble because they're trying to force it, right? And it's sometimes you just got to go glass and out. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that forecheck, because Cass is right. They're going to come in waves, and the Oilers are going to have to be ready. And they're going to target, like you said, Ekholm, Bouchard, just because they know sometimes they're prone to trying to force a pass, right? So it's definitely going to be an interesting story to follow.
All right, that was point number 1 of Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Cassian. Evade and transition. We'll see how the Oilers D holds up against a consistent and annoying forecheck from the Florida Panthers. All right, Cass, number 2, stars align.
Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, starting with game 1 tonight, have to be your best players. And we want to see depth contributions. Absolutely. We want to see depth players playing well, chipping in, doing all they can. Absolutely. But to win a Stanley Cup, your best players have to be your best players. And Connor and Leon, this is what they've wanted. This is where they wanted to be. They wanted to be back in the Stanley Cup final with an opportunity. The job's not done yet. Now they're here. They have to go out and accomplish what they want, which is to win the Stanley Cup. And just so much of this rests on their shoulders. And again, you're going to need contributions from more than just them. They're not going to carry your team every single night. But starting this thing off at home, especially considering the way that the Stanley Cup final started last year on the road in Florida, where they couldn't do anything, couldn't score, just couldn't get the job done. It starts tonight, and it starts with Leon and Connor. They have to be the number 1 drivers, and they have to be better than the Matthew Tkachuk's of the world. They have to be better than the Barkovs of the world, because we know that he's going to be fantastic. Right? We know that the Florida Panthers are going to push. They have players that have been battle tested in the playoffs. They're comfortable in the playoffs. They know how to play and how to succeed against high-skilled players. And at the end of the day, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have to be better. That's going to be the bottom line. Your best players have to be better than their best players. That's at its core here, guys. That's what it's going to come down to. And, again, Barkov is an amazing player. Tkachuk is an amazing player. Draisaitl and McDavid have to be better. And more than just those 2 guys. But it starts with the stars, the big 2. Tommy, best players have to be your best players in the Stanley Cup final.
Cass, it's a great point, and we expect them to. We'll see if they can rise to the occasion. It's not like they weren't good last year in the Stanley Cup final, but their demeanor, I keep talking about it because we've had so much time to set up this series, but their demeanor, I look at that and I'm like, they look like grumpy a-holes, and I like it. should we read into that, or is that just them putting on game face and, maybe there's some nerves and butterflies in their stomach as well? But I don't know, man. Like, they seem like they're just ornery right now, and I think it rubs off on the team. At least I assume it does. You played. You have a better sense of how that works and in the dynamic of the locker room with superstars like that. But am I at least kind of onto something when I say that?
Yeah, they're ornery and angry and going into it with a screw you attitude. Everyone else follows suit. It's really hard not to have that attitude, especially with a guy like Connor, who, generally not like he's kind of soft spoken in the media. He's not like a soft, quiet, soft spoken guy. Like, he's not that. But he's not like he's the rah all the time, high energy. Like, I'm a high energy guy in the dressing room. Connor's not that. But when you have your leadership guys that aren't necessarily like the high energy, the guys that are pretty even keel normally, that kind of, let's just kind of stick with the process and do this. But when they start to get that antsiness, that edge to them, not antsiness, but that angry edge to being like, yeah, screw these guys. Like, we got a job to do here. Like, let's go do this. I don't care who the heck does whatever the heck they want. We are going to go stick it to them and do whatever we have to. I mean, it's really hard not to just jump right on that bandwagon as a teammate and as a player. So I think it's great. I do think that exists. I think it will be there until they win the Stanley Cup. And that's why, again, like, they're just so important to me, because I think that emotional drive, they're going to be bringing that here. Is even inside of a series like this, and we see it in other series, but there are emotional ups and there are emotional downs. Now, the mindset and the words and the phrases and the cliches that everyone always uses are not too high, not too low. Don't be on the roller coaster. Just stay steady. And I get that. Like, and I do. I get that in a championship series. I get that in the playoffs. But the reality is it not a straight line? Your emotions and momentum inside of a game, inside of a series, they're not a straight line.
Right.
And having your emotional drivers being the guys that are saying, like, no, guess what? We're not just going to be content with where we're at and kind of trying to Steve keel. It's like, no, we're going to drive and we're going to push and we're going to be nasty. We're going to be angry and we're going to just do whatever we have to here. I love it. So I think it's great. I do think they have that edge to them right now. And that, again, Tom, is why I think, as they should be, they are the two most important players for the Edmonton Oilers here heading into this game tonight, game one, and into the series.
Nancito, what do you think of those two and everything that Cass was saying?
Yeah, I mean, they were good last year, guys. But again, I thought Barkov did an excellent job. Always Draisaitl, he scored maybe one goal in that finals. They gotta take over here. They got to match the stars of the Florida Panthers and be better than them. And because if they can score, regardless if it's on the power play or not, guys, like instill that. Yeah, you're not shutting us down this year. And sometimes we're going to see them together. Sometimes we're going to see them on separate lines. It's going to be tough for Florida, but yeah, those guys have to be the driving force behind this team, and I think they will. And you talked about their demeanor throughout these playoffs, Tom. I think it was after the Vegas series. Connor looked pissed off doing the media, and I just think because right now they're like it's about business. We haven't won anything. It's great that we're back in the finals, but until we're lifting that cup, like it's you're not going to see them overly happy and celebrating and all that. And I like that. It's kind of like that business attitude. We haven't won anything yet, boys. So I really like the way the leaders here on this team are not getting too high and not getting too low.
All right, that was point number 2, stars align. Point number 1, of course, was evade in transition. This is a Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Cassian, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, point number 3 tonight, Cass. Game 1, not 4.
Yep. Starting game 1. Let's not go down 0-3 this series. I think it's different. I think the feeling is, and I know you feel it too, both of you guys, like the feeling heading into the series is different than it was last year. Like, it's not like we're just happy to be here. It's not like, yeah, hey, we're really excited. As you just mentioned, and we just talked about, there's a little bit of grit to their attitude right now. And I think that's a really good sign. But even with that, there are going to be emotions. There are going to be just the buzz and the roar of the crowd, which is, I think, going to be a good thing. And you're starting us at home to drive you a little bit, to pick you up a little bit. But we can't have a slow start. We've seen one slow series start for the Oilers, really slow series start at the start of the playoffs against the LA Kings, where they drop a couple games in a row. Don't want to mess around with that again. They almost do the impossible. Still impossible because they haven't done it. in terms of coming back from being down 3-0 in a series to win the Stanley Cup last season. But you just don't want to find yourself there again. Like, starting on time with this game one, with the opportunity of playing at home, is just so essential to me. So,
Yeah.
Tom, starts with that first shift, starts with this first game. I just think you really want to make a statement here. And I think you have the ability to. I think you have the ability to really walk out and for a Florida team that has been really good and really stuck with their process and beaten some really good teams. I think you have the opportunity to proverbially, as the Edmonton Oilers, punch them in the mouth, and maybe physically too, but go out with your play style and smack them a little bit. And I think that bodes well for you if you can, really, for this series. Like, starting early in this series, getting off, just not having that emotional dip, because it has been a couple days, but just not having that emotional dip to start the series is so important, I think, here. I just want to see Edmonton come out of the gates flying today, guys, and play a full 60 flying.
Of course. But what if they do end up losing this game? Do you think the whole mood changes around this group, or do you think people take a deep breath and go, well, like Cass said, game one, not game four, but we can accept game two, not game four? Like, do you think people will freak out? I feel like some will, but not all.
Which people are we talking about?
People in general.
Hernan's good. Hernan will be good. He's fine. He's locked.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm probably good. I feel like there's lots of people that will be freaking out and instantly calling for Stuart Skinner to be thrown in jail and prison and never let out again. If they lose, even if it has nothing to do with him, if they lose game one, people might react emotionally. I think this team would be fine, because we've seen them battle back and through things before. I think they would be fine. Even if they lose game one, I think they're fine. Mentally, they've overcome, they've been in that situation, even in this playoffs. And I think, we've seen them come from behind in series and games, and I think they're fine. Now, I think if you do that, though, you're giving a massive confidence boost to the Florida Panthers, and you're making it way more difficult moving forward. I think you still have the capacity to do so. But the easiest path forward to me is if you dominate this game one and just keep that truck rolling, that momentum going. I think that's the easier path to victory, and the series ends up being shorter. Like, to me, if Edmonton wins in a convincing fashion tonight, the series is going to be a shorter series than we think. And I think if Edmonton Oilers lose tonight and if Florida manages to win, it's going to be longer than we think, or longer than we hope. So it's I think the team's fine regardless in that regard. But in terms of just the overall momentum, and I think the way this series plays out could be very, very different depending on what happens tonight.
Hernan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's frustrating because last year in game one, the Oilers dominated. Like, that game, if it wasn't for Bob, they probably win it. But you got to win this game, because if let's just say you drop this first game, then the pressure's all on you, because it's the first time you're starting at home, guys, right? Like, before, at least you knew you were coming home and you can get back in the series. You have the home crowd behind you, and that gives you a boost, right? It doesn't directly lead to wins, but you don't want to go to Florida, down or it might be a split, guys. It might, for sure, but this game, I just think for this, the pressure that they're going to feel, I think the Oilers need to grab this one. Then, obviously, it switches to Florida. They're like, hey, we can't go home down 2-0. They might play a little tight, but it's hard to say that because Florida, it's their third Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think anything really phases them, guys, whether they're down 2-0 or up or whatever. So that's why it's such an interesting series, because and. I know a lot of the experts out there pick the Florida Panthers. Listen, I understand why they're a hell of a team, but I think a lot of them haven't really watched the Oilers because they're a hell of a team too, and they're showing their work, and it just doesn't add up to me. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and I was going to ask you guys about this anyway, but it works nicely. Some of those media members I've had the good fortune of catching up with them in the last couple of days since they've been here in town. Mm-hmm. And they have said that. They go, probably Florida this year. And, but and a couple of them have kind of added, but I think it's Edmonton's year next year. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, it's going to be, well, there's always tweaks and changes year to year, but I was like, I don't know. Like, this one feels good for Edmonton. And it feels like they might have the inside edge, with all due respect to the Florida Panthers. And so there was some thought that next year will be Edmonton's year. And I'm like, oh, my, you know what it takes to get there, the rigors of the postseason, the last month and a half, the fan base, our viewers, listeners, we've been going through, and the guys on the ice and in hockey ops department said, I was like, I don't know if I buy that theory. And there are a few others, Cass and Nanso, that think that we might see this matchup again next year. I'm like, where are you guys getting this? Are they off their rocker, or am I just not seeing something?
I think they're off their. Again, I truly don't think they've watched the Oilers a lot in these playoffs. Because you look at. I think it's just, when you're not watching the team on a regular basis. Oh, they dusted Vegas in 5, Dallas in 5, and they think it was easy, right, guys? And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. The Oilers just played really well. Like, let's be honest here. They're just as good as the Florida Panthers, and who's had the tougher road? I mean, that's up for debate. They've both played some great teams along the way, but I'm a little thrown back by. And listen, again, if you pick Florida, that doesn't upset me, because they're a hell of a team, and hell, they have just as good a chance to win this as the Oilers. But what bothers me is when you show your work and it's incorrect. You know what I mean? But they're better at this than the Oilers, and this than the Oilers. Well, obviously, you're not watching the Oilers.
Cass, what would you say to our colleagues and peers from other markets that have that theory? Because I've heard it from a few people, and I was like, hey, do you guys just talk to each other and share these thoughts? And
yeah, they all kind of buy in. And then they're probably like, oh, well, you guys are just in the Edmonton market, you bunch of homers. You're just touting party lines.
Yeah, well, if they saw some of the post-game shows, they wouldn't call us that.
No, they wouldn't. Listen, I don't buy into that. Like, Carolina's a good team. Florida handled them. I think from a style standpoint, Florida is like the worst nightmare for the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah. A team that doesn't try to play a skill game, that just plays. Not that Florida doesn't have skill, but they played like that gritty, hard, in your face. Like they match that type of intensity that Carolina can bring, and they do it a little better, and they do it a lot meaner than the Carolina Hurricanes. The Toronto series, I mean, look at that series. Toronto should have won that series. If we really look at that, like if Toronto's guys played anywhere close to how they should have played, Toronto should have beat that series. And I never bought, and I know Gager was big on Tampa, and I think Dusty kind of was. I can't remember exactly who we thought heading into that series with Florida was going to win.
I was. I'll be honest. I thought Tampa was peaking at the right time.
Yeah,
completely wrong.
Florida was going to win that one. I thought they were going to win that one. I wasn't bullish on Tampa, where they are at now in terms of just the age of their roster, the way that it's constructed now. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't incredibly bullish on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I like Florida. Florida has been a very good team. They've been a very good team. They have been the best team in the East. Of course they have. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. But I just think Edmonton's route was more difficult. So no, I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that next year's Edmonton's year. I think this year is Edmonton's year. This is the big opportunity. I mean, there was a big opportunity last year too, and I don't want to say they just threw it away, but they sort of threw it away by not playing.
They didn't handle it well.
They didn't handle it well. So this is their opportunity to do it. I think they are a better team. Like, if I have to look at the rosters on these two teams and I say, okay, if both teams are playing their absolute best hockey at their absolute peak, who do I think has a better chance of winning? 9 times out of 10. And the 10th time, I'm probably like groggy and half waking up in the morning and can't really think straight. But 9 times out of 10, I'm picking the Edmonton Oilers. Right? Edmonton at their best is better than Florida at their best. Because Florida at their best, they're aggressive. They're physical. They're in your face. They're playing fast in transition. They're forcing turnovers. But Edmonton at their best, they destroy that. And they destroy that by having fast transition where you can't be physical on them. They destroy that by having forwards that hold onto the puck so you can't transition. They have forwards that make solid plays to the net and don't throw it away, but open the ice up and create opportunity. Like, it's just everything that Edmonton does, if they're doing it really well, will make it very difficult for Florida to play their game. And I think the upside here for the Edmonton Oilers is that much more. So I think at their core, they're a better team than the Florida Panthers. However, the Florida Panthers are still really good.
Yep.
And if Edmonton doesn't execute, Florida could win. Like, there's still that chance out there. I think, and if they do, Tom, I would be incredibly disappointed. Because I think this team should win.
I understand where that disappointment would come from. All right, Tom Gazzola, Matt Cassian, Hernan Salas with you on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. A couple of texts to get to. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Hontorio Mom says, Frank S., so Saravalli, good to see Frank around here again, said he's hearing Frederick is going to go hard at Tkachuk, ex-childhood friends from St. Louis who hate each other. That's a wrinkle I was not expecting. Kane's going to go at Bennett and the Coolers cool. That's an interesting theory. I'll ask Cass about that in a second. I'll get to Pauly Deuce really quickly, and then Cole in Ellerslie. Pauly Deuce actually says, it just feels like it's the Oilers' time. All the omens are on the Oilers' side. I think the Oilers have improved not only since last season, but throughout the playoff run. Obviously, the Panthers have improved as well, but I don't think that they've improved as much as the Oilers have. Also, the road to the Cup final has been substantially more difficult competition for Edmonton. Just drop the puck already. I can't wait anymore. Let's go Oilers. And then Cole in Ellerslie, nasty number 10, says, feeling good about this series. Let's go Cole in Ellerslie. All right, Hontorio Moms with that little nugget there of Saravalli saying that the two kids from St. Louis, Frederick and Tkachuk, might go and get under each other's nerves a little bit. Cass, what do you think of that? And then how do you get Sam Bennett to not be as an effective player as he generally is, especially in the playoffs?
Well, I think for Bennett, there's a semblance that you have to ignore him at times. Right, you have to ignore him. I think your defense have to be strong in front of the net. So ensuring that you're creating space, that you're not letting guys get through, that you're not getting dragged or sucked into anything after the whistle. And again, you move the puck efficiently. If you move the puck efficiently, you limit some of Sam Bennett's effectiveness. Now, the Tkachuk on that with Frederick, hey, listen, if Frederick can get at him and you can trust Frederick on the ice with Matthew Tkachuk, drag him into everything you can. Like, get 10 minutes misconducts, both of you. Like, every minute that Tkachuk is battling back and forth with Frederick on that, if that's the direction they go, that's a win for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, that's a positive for me. And, he is someone that can do that. But between the two of them, Matthew Tkachuk's a better player. So anything that you can do is Frederick, that'd be great. Who knows if there's any validity to that? I guess we'll see. But, guys, how awesome would it be? How awesome would it be? I doubt it happens, but how awesome would it be? Just if we kind of go back to like what happened at the Four Nations, if, right at the start of this game, early in this hockey game, Frederick fights Tkachuk. How unreal would that be? Regardless of how the fight goes, how awesome would that be? I don't think it's going to happen. Most likely not going to happen. Tkachuk would be crazy to do it. Yeah. Because he's got way more to lose, but that would be amazing.
Nat, so you want to jump in here?
Yeah, that's an interesting. Who sent that in again with Frank S?
Hontario Moms.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'll be honest. We talked about it with Gage earlier. We need to see Frederick's been good, but we still don't see that boss in Frederick, right, guys? So I'm all for it if he goes after whoever, Tkachuk, Bennett. But again, don't go out of your way. Don't take any stupid penalties. That's kind of what they like to do, is suck you into that, and so you got to be smart about that. So, and Dusty just reposted a Teef. He's down at the watch party. He's ready to go, boys.
Oh, baby. Good old Wheels. He's maybe I'll see him on my way into the building. Troll says, God, I hope you're right, Cass. Last year was painful. I still haven't recovered from 2006, to be honest. And Troll's not like the only one. I've seen a lot of 2006 references, and I thought last year would kind of like rinse that whole vibe out. But there's still people that were like, well, in 06, this happened and that happened. It's like, wait a sec, you guys. They've kind of reset all of this by playing Florida, going to Game 7 against them last year at the Cup final. That was like 2 decades ago. and you still get people being like, well, no 6, this happened and that happened. And it's like, still clear it out.
It's a little bit different. Because in 06, they were the 8th seed, right? They weren't supposed to be there. It was a Cinderella run of all time for people here in Edmonton. Where now I think we expect them to win, right? Like, this is the norm now. Like, you should be in the finals or in the Final Four going forward, especially with the 2 top dogs that the Oilers have. So I think it's a little bit different. But 06 is still damaging to a lot of people for sure. So close, guys. It's so close last year too, right?
Yeah, it certainly left its mark. All right, I'm going to read this one, and then we're going to get Cass's final thoughts. RBM says, grabbing this game 1 would be huge. Stay calm. Don't panic. Play your game. Stay out of the box. They're ready. Let's go. And then the NHL just put this out. It says, teams that win game 1 in a best-of-7 Stanley Cup final hold an all-time record of 65-20 in the series. That's a 765 winning percentage. So game 1, huge. And we'll see if the Oilers can snag it from the Florida Panthers tonight. All right, Cass, some final thoughts from you as we close out Game Changers here.
Well, boys, it's a long road to get to the Stanley Cup final for the Edmonton Oilers. It's been a long road. There have been many twists and turns, many ups and downs. By golly, we're here again, and we can't do anything. It's all the guys that will be on the ice. We can sit here and talk about it. We can't do anything. But gentlemen, I think this is going to be a fantastic series. I think it's going to be a fun series. 2 teams that are both very capable, both playing very well right now. To me, at the end of the day, and even heading into this game 1, this is about the Edmonton Oilers beating the Edmonton Oilers. That's what this is about. This is the Edmonton Oilers beating the Edmonton Oilers, because if they can overcome themselves, I think they win this series and they win it handily. If they do it to themselves in terms of turnovers, defensive play, breakdowns, mental lapses, bad decisions at inopportune times, then the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup. But if they play close to how they're capable of playing, guys, I think we see, I don't want to say outright dominance from the Edmonton Oilers. I think it's still going to be competitive because Florida's really good. But I think we see the Edmonton Oilers play controlling hockey and give themselves a fantastic chance here to win a Stanley Cup for the city of Edmonton.
Cass, well said as always, articulate and thorough, to the point. Enjoy game 1, my friend. We'll catch up with you on the post-game show, all right?
Sounds good, fellas. Stay safe.
Stay safe. That is Matt Cassian, our game analyst with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. I've got a bunch of texts that we want to rattle off as we get you set. Nanso lineups, I see them out there. We'll get to those one more time just to confirm them for everyone. Let's do our game day odds check, brought to you by Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app, with hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues: NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. You're not just playing for fun. You're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today with promo code YEG50, YEG, all caps 50, and get an EST exclusive $50 free bet to get you started. Your money line for tonight: Edmonton minus 133, Florida plus 100. Your puck line: Edmonton plus 170, Florida minus 278. Over under set at 6.5. The over at minus 105. The under at minus 133. That is your game day odds check, brought to you by our good friends and presenting partners, Play Alberta. Nanso, do you have lineups you want to rattle off?
Yeah, for the Edmonton Oilers, McDavid between Perry and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl with Kasperi Kapanen and Evander Kane, Adam Henrique with Connor Brown and Trent Frederick, and then Janmark with Victor Arvidsson and Vasily Podkolzin. Defensively, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse, Kulak, Wallman, Klimberg, and then Stewie Skins between the pipes.
All right, that is the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm just double checking here on anything updated for the Panthers. I thought I saw it from, here we go. Steve Wino, our good friend from the Associated Press, has Barkov between Rodriguez and Reinhart, Bennett between Verhaeghe and Kachuk, Lindell with Luostarinen and Marchand, and Nosek with Boquist and Gadjevich. On defense, Forsling with Ekblad, Mikola with Jones, Schmidt with Kulikov. Sergei Bobrovsky is between the pipes for the Florida Panthers. So there you go. There is your starting lineup with our dear friends over at South Fort Chev. They always present the starting lineups. Go see Daniel and his team in the Fort. They'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in. www.southfortchev.com. All right, let's rattle off a few texts. I know we have Trent Frederick audio. Do we want to run it, or do you want me to rattle off text, Nat? So I'll leave that up to you.
We got about 4 minutes. He's about 3. It's I guess.
Why don't we listen to like the first 2 minutes,
Sure.
and then we'll rattle off some text and have some final thoughts and be on our way.
Perfect. Here's Trent Frederick.
It was good. Very excited. Definitely a little bit harder to fall asleep last night than normal days, but very excited.
Connor Brown's able to go in. How much does he help you guys?
Tremendous. He's been playing great all playoffs. He brings a lot of energy, brings a lot of swagger, a lot of jam. So we're excited to get him back if that's the case.
Trent, how important is the board battle in this series? I thought they really had their way with Carolina and got them in a lot of trouble along the boards. Is that a focus of your team on the breakout, but also just ensuring you win battles there?
Yeah, it's been a little different than teams we played the last 3 rounds. Complete opposite of a team like LA who backs up. So it's going to be important for wingers to win those board battles, make them high, and then we can hopefully capitalize on some odd man rushes off it.
What has been the message from the leadership group that was here last year to some of the newer guys who this may be a new experience for?
I don't know if there's like a straight up message, but you can just tell everyone's determined and I've been through it. It seems like I'm new to it, but it seems like everyone else is pretty focused, pretty relaxed. It's good to see.
What sort of atmosphere are you anticipating tonight?
I don't know how it can get much better than what we've had, so I'm sure it will, but just like the last couple of rounds, it's been amazing, and it's a very fun building to play in.
Trent, when you see Connor Brown,
Yeah, it is a fun building to play, and it's going to be absolutely ready to pop off in about 25 to 30 minutes time. Oilers, Panthers, game 1 of the Cup final. That was Trent Frederick getting set for his Oilers Stanley Cup final debut. We'll be playing with Henrique and Brown. All right, a couple of texts to get to as we wind things down here. Smokey the Bear says, I'm feeling good about tonight. Going to be watching Kane's game with him stepping into the top 6 in place of Hyman. Norman, a Combine, says, let's expletive go. I have it right here. Oh, let's go, says Norman, a Combine. Doof says, for me, why 06 still hurts, it's because I was just a kid then, and it was really all that mattered to me. I'm an adult now. I have adult problems, but let's get it this year. Thank you, Doof. Andrea says, they both still hurt. LOL. 06 and 24. Runner says, I haven't watched Florida this year, but they have thrown any games, had any stickers. There's been games where like Paul Maurice has called them out.
Yeah,
you're not going to play 100 perfect games, but they're pretty damn consistent. They've had some nicks and bumps and bruises along the way. Toronto took them to 7 games.
Yeah.
And then Toronto got smoked in game 5. Jerseys were getting tossed on the ice. Goes back. Toronto wins game 6. Forces game 7. They get smoked by Florida. It was kind of like, oh my goodness, why did they even get to games? I'm just kidding. You want to get to game 7. You want to stay alive. You want to chase the cup. But I just remember that. I'm like, oh, what a disaster in game 5. They're in trouble. Then they win that game 6. And you're like, okay, maybe they learned their lesson from game 5. And then they just get dummied in game 7 by the Panthers. And it's like, no, everything that happened a couple games ago is kind of confirmed again. But that's how good Florida is. All right. Nat, so final thoughts from you going into game 1 of this Stanley Cup final.
This is what it's all about, Tommy. Let's go, man. Final series. We'll see what tonight brings us from Rogers Place. I hope for all the fans you have fun, excited, behave yourselves. It's game 1. Let's go. We'll be back in about 3 hours, maybe longer. You never know. Knock on wood.
Never know.
But let's go. This is
Here
what
we
it's
go.
all about, man.
Big thank you to Tian, Nikki, and the entire staff here at the Canadian Ice House, to Jared from Modern, Grumpy Cat, VR Montenegro, and Savage is here. Good to see him. He's got his top hat on. Shout out to all you guys who made it down. You guys are fantastic. That's going to do it. Here we go. Game 1, Stanley Cup Final 2025. Can the Oilers avenge last year's loss? I like their chances. Can they take advantage of home ice? First time since May 18th, 1988. Game 1 of a Cup Final is in Edmonton. Edmonton won that game 2-1 against the Bruins. Can they get it done tonight? We shall see. Other than that, mix in a water, enjoy a beverage, be good to each other. Let's go. We'll see you on the post-game show. Ciao for now.